Hello. This week in Britain, something rather odd has happened, something that many of you in America may find almost unbelievable. A football match, the Europa League game between Aston Villa, a well-known English team, and the Israeli club Maccabi Tel Aviv, is scheduled to take place at Aston Villa's home ground, Villa Park, in Birmingham, which is Britain's second or third largest city, on November the 6th. It's a game of sport, and probably most of us agree that we should keep politics out of sport as much as possible, but this particular game was always likely to trigger some strong reactions, particularly given the terrible situation we've seen in Gaza over the last couple of years, and the fact that the district in which this game is to be played has an Asian population of 69.1%. Muslims constitute 54% of the population. White Brits are only 7.8% of the population. Yet it wasn't the match itself that hit the headlines this week, but the decision to bar Israeli fans from attending. The decision came not from the police, nor from the government, but from a local authority body known as Birmingham Safety Advisory Group. There is no register of members of this group, but it's believed to be largely comprised of local councillors and community representatives, as well as representatives of the police and other emergency services. In any case, the group has cited concerns about public disorder, particularly the possibility of unrest from local groups opposed to Israel, as well as citing the fact that last year in Amsterdam there was violence when Maccabi Tel Aviv played there. And they've done so based on a police risk assessment. Now that sounds cautious, responsible, and sensible even. But beneath that language lies something far deeper and more troubling, perhaps darker. For in truth and in effect, what that group is saying is that the mostly Muslim population of the area will not welcome fans from an Israeli football team, not because of public disorder from those fans, but because they are Israeli. Now this is Britain in the 21st century, where religious sectarianism is not supposed to be happening. The British Prime Minister has condemned the decision. So has the Home Secretary, who is the Cabinet Minister responsible for policing, and the Culture Secretary. Indeed, politicians from across the political spectrum have condemned this decision and expressed grave concerns. Yet the game remains barred to those Israeli supporters, and the decision, for the time being at least, stands. Why? Because Britain can no longer assume that elected politicians will act in a secular manner in the interests of all people, no matter what identity group. And the British government cannot simply instruct the police or local authorities to act in a non-sectarian manner. It doesn't have the tools, or indeed the courage, to do so. The United Kingdom, it could be argued, has become a nation in which political leaders lacking moral courage and authority hesitate, where condemnation is easier than correction, and where the fear of political backlash outweighs the will to govern. But to understand this moment fully, you must also understand that it is the context that matters, not so much the match itself. Britain has always exercised democratic oversight of its police. That's been practiced at the provincial level. We have 43 provincial police forces, plus city police forces like the Metropolitan Police. That oversight has provided accountability and prevented the abuse of power for almost 2 centuries, and it's ensured that policing has been tailored to the needs of the community. However, community politics run very deep in the city of Birmingham, where democratically elected power now increasingly, if not exclusively, rests in the hands of religious sectarian or ethno-religious blocs, or those courting those votes. That's all dominated by Muslims. When the elected politicians representing such community pursue sectarian policies, officials, including the police, come under intense pressure to fall in line. And this is where the real danger lies. Sectarianism is the enemy of pluralism and of democracy. So when people from immigrant communities, used to and perhaps comfortable with sectarian politics in their own society of origin, are elected by democratic processes and then use those democratically obtained mandates to advance identity-based preferences and policies, democracy itself is directly threatened. It is in many ways a rehash of an old story. In the 17th century, Britain was torn apart by the clash between Protestantism and Catholicism, two faiths, each claiming moral authority and each demanding political power. The bloody civil war that followed reshaped the very foundations of the British state. Today, the religious battleground is perhaps different, but the principle is the same. The question is the same. Can a nation built on pluralism survive the rise of sectarian politics based on religion, in this case Islam? And the answer, of course, has to be no. And we would be mistaken, badly mistaken though, to think that this challenge to British democracy exists only in Birmingham or only at the local or city or town or other local government level. It does not. Indeed, it exists at the heart of the nation's government. Exist in Parliament. Ayub Khan, Zahra Sultana and Iqbal Mohammed, MPs, went further, calling not merely for restrictions on this match, but for all Israeli teams to be banned from all competition in Britain, based on those MPs' opposition to the Israeli state. Not only does Britain face well-established religious sectarianism and anti-Semitism in Birmingham, it faces the presence of that evil within the very parliament that spread democratic principles around the world. The nation's ancient democratic character faces a threat that could, in the worst of cases, end up destroying it. Britain, like much of the West, has long prided itself on tolerance. But tolerance, when detached from moral courage and a clear sense of responsibility and purpose, becomes appeasement. And appeasement, as history has shown us time and time again, all too clearly, only emboldens those who would seek to divide and conquer. Our police hesitate to enforce the law where they fear community anger. Our local officials yield to organised pressure. And our national leaders, though they may condemn these things, too often lack the courage and the confidence and the will and fail to act. The result is a slow but unmistakable erosion of national authority as it gives way to imported sectarianism. Perhaps, America, this sounds familiar to you. You too wrestle with the politics of identity, of course, the challenge of free speech, the temptation to excuse intimidation as legitimate protest. But there is a difference. In your country, politics is loud, raw and open. In Britain, it has become quiet, evasive and steeped in the habit of compromise, even when compromise means surrendering the very principles our democracy was designed and built upon to protect. And so here we are, a football match barred to fans because of their nationality, because their nationality offends some sectarians and anti-Semitics who might protest. A national government unwilling or unable to reverse a largely sectarian and anti-Semitic decision made by a city council. And a society beginning to sense that its tolerance is being abused and that if something isn't done very soon, that abuse will lead to its destruction. This America is not really a story about sport. It's about who governs. And the outcome could have ramifications across the free world. You see, when fear dictates policy, when sectarianism shapes local power, and when leaders who should be enforcing the line prefer timidity to action, a country loses control. It's no longer in control of its own destiny, and Britain is at that crossroads. Britain must decide whether to remain a pluralist democracy rooted in law and liberty, or to drift into a patchwork of sectarian fiefdoms, each demanding its own rules and exemptions. The English Civil War was fought to answer that question once before. It did so. However, very unfortunately, it now seems that there's a need to answer that question again. And if we don't do so urgently, with clarity of purpose, courage and loyalty to the ancient democracy that our forefathers built, we may indeed require a modern-day Oliver Cromwell. Let us all hope fervently that our leaders find the courage to act, and that time the need for a new Cromwell never arises. Good night.
That was Letter to America, by Henry Bolton. For further episodes, please follow or subscribe. Thank you.